good or bad. This is not about value judgment. Richie Beno was also media, good or bad, not about value judgment. Sushil Doshi was also media, someone I love to consume, good or bad. Ashok gave the example of entertainment. Now, all of this are part of the media domain. Question number 3. So what is real media? Question number 4. Now here comes the Asia Cup final. India versus Pakistan, third time in 2 weeks, against the backdrop of Operation Sindoor and a war we are fighting with the rogue neighbor. Now it's an event. It's a political event, it's a sports event, it's a media event, it's whatever. It's something very, very important. Alongside, you also have the Para World Championships, the Athletics Championships in Delhi, right? Same days. The Asia Cup final was on the 28th of September. The Para World Championships started on the 27th of September in Delhi. Now, you are the media. What do? Pulala Gopichand mentioned Manchester United on the back page. Why is Manchester United put on the back page? Why is it that the India-Pakistan game would be made the banner headline and not the Para World Championship with 104 countries, which is one of the biggest events that India is organizing? When you take the Asia Cup, when you take that particular match, the Asia Cup is a bogus tournament, right? Coming from a cricketing background, having covered international cricket for 30 years, I've got absolutely no qualms in saying that the Asia Cup is a B-grade, second-rate cricket tournament. When I talk about the Para World Championship in Delhi, it's far more significant in terms of India's soft power, right? India's soft power in front of the world. But when we wear our media hat, do I put Asia Cup as a banner headline? Whichever newspaper, whichever portal, whichever site I run, will I make the Asia Cup as my banner headline, saying that the market will consume this more, or will I make the Para World Championship my banner headline? As the media, what do? Suppose I'm on the athletics beat. Will my editor agree with me saying I will give you X column inches or X column centimeters in the newspaper? Or will I say, okay, you know what? The Asia Cup will be story number 1, 2, 3, and yours will be story number 4. Who decides that? And how do you decide that? What's the way forward as far as the sports media is concerned? So these are my fundamental 4 questions that I leave you with. And now, into the storytelling. Who are we? What's the sports media? Am I supposed to give you gyan here? Are you even interested in that after your cup of tea and the samosas outside? Not at all. You will take your mobile phones and start tweeting or looking stuff. India's playing South Africa at the moment. You've got plenty of other things to do rather than listen to someone give gyan at IIM Indore. Beautiful afternoon at 4 p.m. You would much rather go for a walk. We are storytellers here. You have consumed everything either on digital or on television or in the public platform, some platform. Each one of you, in this day and age of information overload, you have consumed a game in some form. You've consumed an event in some form. The notification has hit your smartphone. So what am I giving you? What am I giving you that you will want or find interesting? My first story. I don't know how many of you have heard of the story of Hoopy Machi, or even heard the name of Hoopy Machi. A couple of my colleagues who are here may have. Now, Hoopy Machi happens to be India's rugby captain, women's team rugby captain. She comes from this village in Odisha, a tribal village in Odisha, and the story will be for about 1.5 minutes and I'll connect back. Hoopy comes from this tribal village in Odisha, and in a village where no girl has ever played sport. So Hoopy played rugby wearing shorts. Her villagers went to her father and said, if this girl ever continues to play rugby, nobody in this village will talk to this family anymore, and this family would be ostracized. The father, being a typical conservative, fearful, whatever, underconfident man, decides to physically assault the daughter and says, no more sport for you. You are locked inside the house. End of story. Hoopy Machi Then the father decides to take the girl from the village, takes her to Bhubaneswar to the Kalinga Institute of Sports Sciences, and gets her enrolled there. Now Hupi realizes that her family has never ever stepped out of Odisha and come out anywhere. So this is her opportunity. If she continues to play sport at KISS, Kalinga Institute of Sports Sciences, no one will notice. So she continues to play sport. As luck would have it, within a couple of years, Hupi Maji makes it to the Indian rugby team. As she makes the Indian rugby team, a local newspaper decides to do a profile of Hupi Maji with a photograph in the sports page. News travels to her father. Somebody goes and shows. The father is alarmed that the daughter is playing again, comes there, holds Hupi by the hand, drags her away to the village, locks her up in the house, and physically beats her big time, saying, "I've told you no means no." Now Hupi is okay. I mean, she tells the father, fair enough, I don't want to disgrace the family in your terms. I don't want to do anything against the will of the family. So from today I will stop playing rugby. Only one thing, one caveat. The government of Odisha has announced a cash prize of 10 lakh rupees for anyone who makes the Indian rugby team. Can you please, as my father, as my family member, go and collect that cash award on my behalf? And the father, that family, for 4 generations has not earned 10 lakh rupees. They earn some 5,000-6,000 rupees as agricultural labor in the village. That father goes and tells Hupi Maji, "Are you serious?" And she says, "Yes, here's the announcement, 10 lakh rupees. The father has never heard, seen that kind of money, breaks down into tears, holds Hupi Maji's hand, takes her around the village and says, "From today, every girl in this village will wear shorts and play rugby." Now, am I supposed to report this in the media ahead of an Asia Cup India-Pakistan game, or what am I supposed to do with this story? When I go to my editor and say, "This is a story that I've got, this is a feature," you can go and write the feature. It can wait for 2 Sundays. Some other reporter goes out there and gets the story and puts it out there. What am I supposed to do with this story if I know it? What's the way forward for sports media? How do you put stories? Point number 2. We at Red Sports were at the Paris Paralympic Games. There were 6 of us. Last year in 2024, Vijay and I, we did the conference, the first edition of the Sport Media Society conference where Professor Rai was there, 25th, 26th August, 2 days before the Paralympic Games. How many Indian journalists were there in Paris for the Paralympics? 8, out of which 6 from Red Sports. How many medals did India win? 29. Has India ever won 29 medals? 2012 1, 2016 4, 2019 in Tokyo 19, and 2024 in Paris 29. Exponential jump. Is that a story? Yes, no. Why is it? Who has said that Virat Kohli's 71st 100 against Afghanistan will have to be covered by 55 people in the media when there will be 2 people in Paris for the Paralympic Games from the rest of the media? Who has said this? What is the story and who decides that? I think we do. I think it's on us. We have the responsibility as the media. Do not forget, even today, a newspaper like a Times of India will have 3 dedicated pages to sport. 1 page for business, 1 page for editorial, 1 page for op-ed, but 3 pages of sport. We've got that. It's sitting there. And yet, when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to ROI, you will say, "Oh, you know what? An IPL story will take the front 8-column banner headline. A Paralympic story will inevitably go to the sports page." Who decides? Where's the agency? Now, you might just come and say, "You know what? Why are you saying this?" Because the market will pay more for consuming the IPL. Have you actually tested the waters? Have you tried going out in the market? Have you tried to kind of probe this? That, okay, an IPL will raise X revenue and a Paralympics will not? There is 2% CSR funding. Has the corporate world gone out and tried it out in the media domain? In our case at Rev Sports, the fact of the matter is, when I say holistic, multiple, multimedia coverage, it is about every possible sport. It is about stories. That's why I come back to that same point. It is about storytelling. It is about creating brands. It is about creating properties, just like Ashok said. He went out, ventured, figured out the Telugu market wants entertainment. And this is no value add. I'm not trying to denigrate the IPL and say, oh, you know what, the IPL story is lesser. All I'm trying to say is give every sport a chance. Because when Sushil Doshi memorializes the IPL with his incredible commentary, he or she can do the same as far as the Paralympic Games is concerned. And Navdeep Singh, all of us have seen his Maa Kasam story, which was picked up by the Prime Minister himself. Navdeep Singh became a brand in India. He became, and now Rohan tells me and Gargi tell me when they covered the Paralympics, the Para-Athletics Championships in Delhi, he was a rage. Is it about the story or is it about something else? Now comes the question of ethicality and responsibility. This day and age, when I see a YouTube platform or when I see a digital platform, you will see everything passes. You can body shame a cricketer, you can body shame a woman, you can body shame a man, you can try and imitate, you can create memes, everything is allowed. Why? Because the moment you are sensationalist, the moment you're abusive, the moment you're whatever, something like that, you know the viewer will come, some super chats will come, you will make some money, you have some numbers. Now in my case, and I will give you a personal example, I had served a 2-year ban in Indian cricket. Everybody knows that, right? Now I actually called 2 people who were then abusive towards me on social media, in future came to ask for a job. So when they did come to ask for a job, I actually asked one of them saying a straight question, I'll give you the job, but why were you abusive towards me? And the person said to me, should I tell you the truth? And I said, yes, please tell me the truth. And he said, you gave me 500 likes and 50 retweets. What? I said, what do you mean? And he said, yes, sir. You were trending at #1 in India. There were 100,000 abusive tweets against you, your family, your wife, your mother, your father, your daughter. And by the way, my daughter's 8 years old and my father's passed away 20 years back. So at that point in time, if I tweeted against you, I would get 50 retweets and 500 likes, which will build my social media profile and I'll make some money. So when I bring the question of ethicality in a media and the way forward, where is that line? Does that line even exist in today's day and age? Ashok mentioned the stray dogs. And I know firsthand from my colleagues and my teammates that in Delhi there were reporters who were given the brief that the stray dog story has to be highlighted far more than the 22 medals. Is it about us in India that we want to beat ourselves down? Do we want the negativity? Do we love the toxicity? Every 9 p.m. politicians will shout at each other in a more WWE manner, not that you depend or believe any politician, you don't. Everyone's corrupt almost. The story about India at 9 p.m. is about toxicity, is about negativity, is about a concept of this country that is alien to you and me. That's what sells, right? That's exactly what sells. Tell me one feel-good story that you put out at 9 p.m. India that sells. It won't sell. You don't want to hear something positive about your own country. You want to denigrate it. You want a negative headline. That's what sells. Or you want something sensationalist. On the other side, I've also seen discrimination. You know what? So a sports journalist has covered a particular beat for 3 years or 4 years. Take an Olympic story, the Indian hockey team. When the Indian hockey team finally wins a medal, the 9 p.m. television anchor will call the sports journalist and say, "Arey Sushil Doshi ji captain hai, usko bulao. Please get him for my show at 9 p.m." Why? Why should the sports reporter, who has slogged for 4 years, bring that star for a 9 p.m. television debate? For what? Why would the sports reporter not do the interview himself and put it out in that 9 p.m. television debate? It is pure discrimination. And I see that happening. You know why? Because of us. Because the best people do not come to this profession. The best people will either go to something else, and our self-respect and self-confidence is at such a low level that we will cede ground. You always hear that sports reportage and sports media and sports journalism doesn't have budgets. Have you ever heard the same for political journalism? When the Prime Minister travels, or the Home Minister travels, or the vote happens, or the election happens, you hear thousands of crores being spent on political reportage. But when there is an Olympic Games, how many reporters from India will travel to cover a particular Games? 4, 5, 6, 7, 10? Why is it that the moment it comes to sport, it becomes an issue with the budget? You know why? Because the political journalist who is sitting at the helm doesn't even get jack of sport. He doesn't understand. For he or she, it is all about the glamour. India, Pakistan, get a Surya Kumar Yadav interview and my job is done. Flippant, transactional, superficial, and ridiculous. Last 5 minutes. So when you see this domain of media in front of you, and then you realize that the next lot who will actually come in will step into this. Are you in your right senses going to come into the sports media domain and want to make a difference, thinking, I will make a career which will give me credibility, give me money, give me fame? The answer is no. The best people will not come into this. So how do you break the clutter? How do you disrupt? How do you change? How do you make the ecosystem completely different from what it is at the moment? Can it be done? Or have we all given up and are we fighting a dead battle? Now I can tell you very simply it can be done. And the Red Sports story is an evidence. We started with a team of 2, 3 in 2021, and in the middle I served a 2-year ban. Written a book which is now a bestseller, exposing the lies that were peddled. Today we are a team of 52, touching a valuation of 100 crores, doing things which are disruptive across the world. You know what? However much you do technology, you do anything else, going back to the basics of hard work, dream and passion still remains the same. Just like a Sachin Tendulkar will go out there and practice dead end from 9 a.m. to 12 noon at 45 degrees centigrade heat, if you want to do proper media work, you bloody well go out there and toil. You do that because there is no substitute for hard work. And you get that story. You get that story at 12 a.m. midnight, at 1 a.m. midnight, or at 6 a.m. in the morning. And I know that my teammates sometimes think, is this too hard? But if you are in the sports media space, you have chosen that space. That space has not chosen you. There are no breaks. The story will not break at 10:25 at night by telling you that today is your leave, so I will not break today. It can happen any second, any moment, any point in time, and you must be ready for that story if you want to embrace that challenge. It's as simple as that. Does that mean you sacrifice? Yes, damn well it means you sacrifice. When you think of a Virat Kohli, and I will give you a Virat Kohli example. Virat Kohli, for 4 years, the guy did not have one cheat meal. 4 years. That's discipline. So the Virat Kohli empire of 100 million Instagram followers doesn't happen overnight. It happens with a hell of a lot of hard work. And that's what at the core of this story is. So when there is a Virat Kohli, and by the way, this is an interview of Virat's, he tells me, for 4 years I've not had a cheat meal. You can go and ask the physio. And I went and asked the physio, is this guy telling me the truth? And the physio tells me, yes, not only is he telling you the truth, when he had that cheat meal after the 235 at the Wankhede against England, he had ordered for a chicken burger, he threw out the top part of the bread and just had the rest of it. And I looked at him. Folks, that's what discipline is all about. So when you idolize someone, and all of us have our heroes. sports person, film person, ex-person, politician, Himanshu Rai, someone, some academic, somebody, right? It doesn't happen like that. It happens with a hell of a lot of hard work. And you know my final example? Gopi was talking about physical literacy, and Gopi and I keep talking about physical literacy. Why is the running revolution taking off in India? That's again part of this entire media narrative of what sells and what doesn't. Why is the running revolution taking off in India? Think. You know why? Because when you, a marathon, a half marathon, a 5K, a 3K, a 1K, something. Because when you are part of that story, you are on that start line, you have been part of that story for 3 months to get your body ready. Who are you cheering for? Are you cheering for Shubman Gill or Neeraj Chopra? You are cheering for yourself. You are the star. Participatory sport is about the characters who are part of it, and that needs as much representation in the sports media. Disruption, folks. It's time to disrupt. This conference is a disruption. Coming together of academics, of practitioners, of industry leaders, brainstorming for 2 days is a disruptive mechanism leading the way forward. And ultimately, it's about making a difference to society. My final minute and final story. This is a favorite story of mine. Sachin and I, of whose biographer I am, we had gone to this disability clinic in Chennai. And in front, in the seat, was this 11-year-old boy who had 80% disability. As we went in, the teacher who was sitting with the boy ran up towards Sachin Tendulkar and said, "You know what? This boy is a huge fan of yours." Everyone says that. And Sachin, in that moment of emotionalism, looked at the boy and said, "You come and play cricket with me, I will give you a bat of mine." And I instantly looked at him because he had made a false statement. That boy with 80% disability had never stood up and walked in his life. So we looked at each other. In the next minute, a bat and 2 tennis balls were brought out. And I'm not exaggerating. For the only time in his life, that boy stood up and played 2 balls of tennis ball cricket with Tendulkar. Now, am I going to document that story in the media? Make it the front page and say more than his 35,000 international runs, this is what matters to me? Transcends the cricket field and impacts lives and impacts society? How am I to deal with these stories? Do we have the answer? Do we know what the way forward is? Are we there to disrupt or not? I leave it at that. My time is up. Sport is all about timing. Media is all about discipline and filing the copy on time and putting out your bulletin sharp on time. It's 55, so it's time to stop. The jury's out. We are at a crossroad. You decide what is right and what is wrong. In my book, we are storytellers. We will tell you the story. Whether you consume it or not is your call, not mine. Thank you.